And good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy, it's Wednesday, right? I'm losing track myself. First off, can you guys see and hear me? Yesterday was not my day for the blog. I apologize. Some of that was user error, and some of that was user karma. I suffer from both, so I apologize. Just kind of one of those days yesterday. But obviously, if there wasn't anything immediately urgent, I wouldn't have not have done a third one for the day, but didn't see that need. All right, I think overall you guys were fairly good on what was happening for yesterday's setup. We hit 50 miles per hour officially in Louisville for the wind gust. Snowfall temperatures, again, we're not expected to get down to the freezing mark, so that's the reason why we really had a tough time getting much of that to even stick. But some of you just saw Angie's report there, did see a little covering. We saw some of that on social media. On my way in, it was just more of a snow burst kind of setup, relatively small snow grains, really, that were falling. It was a mix of that and drizzle that was taking place. It was back and forth, and visibility would drop, and then you'd be fine. But other than that, there'll be problems, right? But that's about to change as yet another low pressure is coming our way. So I know you guys are going to have a lot of specifics on location, amounts, and so forth, and yada, yada, yada. I get that. But give me a chance to try to explain all of that the best that I can. And keep in mind, I'm trying to cover 30 counties here at one time. And I don't want to get too specific in the longer term, obviously, for good reason. It's a longer term. But I do want to certainly make sure that we are fully aware of the Friday system that is coming our way and its impacts more than anything. And then we'll cover, of course, the setup, as you guys are fully aware already, about Sunday night into Monday. I think everyone's more aware about that than anything they've been probably in the past year. But more on that in a second. Let's get into the snow board, which, it's fairly lit up. We've got three different things I've got right now that I'm working on here for SnowTALK. All right, we've got the rain to snow setup, which right now I don't see that being a lot of snow, and may not be for all areas too for Friday night into Saturday morning. But I did raise it to a 4, or 3, mainly because of impacts, because we will be getting quite cold during that window. So there will be a better potential for anything to stick at that point. So I want to make sure everyone's aware of that. The scale moved it to a 7 for Sunday evening into early on Tuesday. You guys know I don't usually go higher than a 1 very often. I don't think I've had a higher than a 1 since December, really, of last year. So it's been a while. And then right after that, a complex setup coming out of this Arctic air of whether or not we'll get a combination of rain, snow, or ice. My feeling is it's going to be on the wintry side of the latter of the two there, but we'll see how that goes. But I do think it needs to be elevated on its potential as well. But again, that's for the very end of the extended outlook. All right, that's your snapshot of what we're going to be discussing on the snow side of things. Now, we do have still some light snow showers and flurries flying out there, but you're going to see that reduction today quite a bit take place. The wind's easing back too, thank goodness, because the wind's been annoying. But that is easing back slowly but surely. We'll see those gusts ease back down to below 20 miles per hour. Already starting to see that in many of our airport sites we have here. And we will likely see it try to ramp back up close to 25, maybe up to 30 miles per hour tomorrow morning, but not to an advisory level. No alert day for that. But it will be a little breezy again tomorrow morning. Just make sure you guys are aware of that potential before we get into the bigger ordeal and wind for Friday. The radar, very hard to even see the snow flurries, brief snow showers, if you will. There's another batch right there developing near Corden, just north of Corden, actually, into Harrison County. If this holds together, it's moving right over the knobs, New Albany, Clarksville, maybe even to downtown Louisville. You may see some brief snow showers moving through, but we are above freezing, so there's just no issue. We're 35, in fact, here in Louisville. And even if you were right at 32, really to get an impact, you kind of have to get down to about a 27, 28 to cause bigger concern as far as slick roads with the warm ground. So that's not going to happen this morning. So this is pretty much a non-issue. Festive flakes, if you will. All right, wider scope shows the clouds locked in across the Ohio Valley. We're going to try to get some breaks in this later today and maybe end on a positive note with some sun this afternoon. It's going to be tough. Therefore, I just don't see the thermometer moving unless the sun can get through these clouds. We'll hold relatively steady in the 30s all day long today. All right, this system's already moving out after causing such a ruckus across the eastern seaboard. Now we wait the next system that's already moving into the Rockies. This one is going to take a very similar path across the Midwest into the Ohio Valley and then back into the Great Lakes. Now, the low pressure that came through yesterday, our pressure got down to about 984 millibars. And I know that's doesn't mean a whole lot to you and I, or at least majority of you, like, okay. But that is a low pressure for the month of January. And we don't have a lot of detailed records by month around here because those type of records actually for a lot of cities in the country are not exactly as solid as other weather elements are, rain and snow and temperature. But when it comes to pressure, they haven't been as well kept. But so far, by looking at least a glancing blow at the data, it did set a record for the month of January in Indy yesterday. Evansville, same story. I got a feeling it was up there for Louisville, rivaling the pressure that came through from the January 1978 blizzard. But we got rain and wind out of that same type of intensity that came through. But here's the thing. This next low pressure that's moving in is going to rapidly intensify. And that's been the debate here on the track on this on Friday is how much will we see this low pressure begin to strengthen or deepen as it moves through, because that will greatly impact the turn that it has along the Ohio River Valley itself. And the concern is in the past 2 days, it's been getting stronger, but certainly in the last 18 hours or so, the data on this continues to ramp up to the point where this is going to be a stronger low pressure than what we had yesterday. Therefore, it's going to certainly cause wind like we had yesterday, if not even stronger of a wind gust. But with it being a stronger low pressure, it is going to try to pull against the gradient and make that turn sharp to where now just about all the ensemble data that I've looked at is taking this certainly north and west of Louisville, not near Louisville or south and east, which was a bit of a debate yesterday. In the past 12 to 18 hours, though, that debate has certainly shrunk down quite a bit, and now it's an idea of this being northwest of Louisville. Now, the problem with that is probably what you may be thinking of, and that is going to be severe thunderstorms, because now we're pulling this low pressure to the point where it's on the other side of the Mighty Ohio, and therefore we will have a south flow involved in this system with its very strong wind fields. Storm Prediction Center already has, at least for Alabama area, over into around Atlanta, Augusta, Georgia, and Columbia, South Carolina, enhanced risk. Looking at the data, this is likely to go to moderate, and this could go to a high risk scenario for severe weather and tornadoes for the southeast part of the country. That's something that hopefully your friends or family there are fully aware of. They just went through it in the past 24 hours, but this is going to be worse. This is going to be worse than what they had yesterday. Now, as we head into our area, we have been added into the marginal risk into at least Kentucky. And that's mainly because the wind fields are so strong that even just a narrow line of showers and heavy rain that moves through can produce damaging winds. And that's where it gets tough in these scenarios, because you may have this without lightning, and therefore you will just have a combination of whether or not this is going to be a severe thunderstorm warnings scenario as these lines of rain come through, or if you have lightning and thunder, that makes it easy. But if you don't, they could be covered under a more aggressive wind advisory or even a high wind warning type of scenario. This is always tough this time of year. Cold season, severe events, when you got a lot of wind, but you don't have a lot of the lightning part of it, can be a bit of a challenge on tracking. The Weather Service got a tough job always on that. But the analogs have certainly kept the severe potential into Kentucky, and the Colorado State learning module there, it does have at least a low end tornado potential, certainly into areas of Kentucky. And I'm going to show you the future cast on that coming up in a second. This is going to be Friday afternoon and evening. It's going to happen fast, whatever moves through here, but I can see why they do have the marginal risk out. So let me walk you through that. We'll get through Friday, and then we'll get into the extended. Rest of today, it's all about clouds and cold weather. Okay, no problem. A little breezy tomorrow. It's a little bit of a clipper that moves by tomorrow. That's why the wind picks up. Air's dry. Can't run a flurry to the north, but most areas think we'll be fine. Once that moves on by, then we are gearing up for the setup on Friday. So really this afternoon, if you have any errands you need to run, a good day to do that. Tomorrow will be even better. You have a better opportunity to get some sun for tomorrow and warm weather into the mid 40s. But that's it. After Thursday, all bets are off on trying to get a lot done outside or even traveling. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for us. So we get all your errands squeezed in here in the next couple of days. We get into Friday. The rain will begin to break out fairly quick early in the day on Friday. I know it's got snow on the leading edge of that. That's always common when you have a colder air mass in advance of it. Whether or not the start of it could have something frozen, that's possible. That's such a fine detail, though, of an issue to look at. We just got to wait until we get a little closer. But right now, I think it's going to warm fairly quick. This is a strong low-level jet pushing right in Kentucky. So the warm air is going to be just overwhelming over our heads. So I don't see much of an issue here. But this is going to allow for rounds of heavy rain, showers, and thunderstorms. As we get into about 4 or so in the afternoon on Friday, this will likely be a line of severe weather that'll be moving through Tennessee and may even extend right into Kentucky. These will be isolated strong cells as well in southeast Kentucky. Indiana, though, the good news is everything looks to be very much cut off right there at the Ohio River. So if you're certainly the counties along the Ohio River likely will be in that zone that we need to watch, but it's going to be central Kentucky, and even more so, if I had to get more specific, it'll be E-Town South or Bardstown South that will not need to watch carefully for Friday afternoon for a few hours as this line of heavy rain moves through. Very strong wind fields with this. I'll show you in just a second. Once this line moves by, this big blob of rain and then a line of showers and storms we'll need to watch, there is a chance for a few isolated cells right ahead of the actual low around 6 or 7 p.m. that will try to form right on the curl of the low. We'll watch those. These are the ones that could rotate, and they will move rapidly across central areas of Kentucky into northern Kentucky. I just don't know at that point they'll have much fuel to work with, but it's something to watch, something to watch. So if we had to put a window right now on anything on the severe thunderstorm potential side or even isolated tornado risk, I would say roughly 4 p.m. to about 8 p.m. looks to be the window we need to watch. Once that moves on by, the next concern is going to be the wind that will stay strong and then the temperature drop. But how fast? How fast of a drop are we talking about here? Because it will be different than what we had even with yesterday's system. Yesterday, we just kind of eased down to the 30s. It wasn't a rapid freeze-up scenario. This is different. This one, we actually will get down into the mid-20s. That is concerning for a flash freeze type of scenario. And then could see this go over to snow, but right now the snow part looks limited, but we'll be in the mid-20s. So just about every flake will have an easier time to stick Friday night into Saturday morning compared to what we had in the past 24 hours. Whether or not we get a flash freeze scenario, I don't know at the moment. The wind usually is our friend in this setup and drying the roads out if there's a gap between when the rain stops and the temperature drop happens. And right now we're thinking we'll get close to the freezing mark around midnight Friday night. And the rain may end at around 8 p.m. So that may give us 3 to 4 hours. Is that enough time? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if that window can hold long enough or not. But certainly the risk is there for those who work second or third shift. There could be some icy, untreated roads Friday night early on Saturday. This is the wind field map, and I apologize. This does not look good, right? It's hard to see it. Let me try to bring it full screen. This is looking at the atmosphere where basically, we're down here. Airplanes are way up here flying over. And the time period, it's kind of backwards. You read it right to left. There's a lot of things wrong with this, right? Anyway, what you're looking at is the dip in the strong wind fields getting below. This is 2,000 feet here. This is 1,000 feet. And that's the concern is any one of these showers that move through, when they build up, these showers and these thunderstorms pass through the Ohio Valley, they can build into that stronger wind field, and they push that wind below the cloud level, below the tree line, and we get those damaging wind gusts. That's going to be the concern as those bands of rain move through and even an isolated against tornado threat. And then the winds stay with us, stays breezy, and then they ease back as we head into the rest of Saturday morning. But that Friday afternoon window, Friday night, is certainly concerning. So based on this low pressure type setup as it stands now for our alert day, confidence is high on this scenario. We're going to go 45 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts with this. Wind advisories are likely to come out very soon for the area. I think all counties will be in that, by the way. There is going to be an isolated tornado risk just because of the small amount of fuel. There's a bit of CAPE about, for you model watchers, about 150 or so joules that show up. So that in a cold season scenario is getting to the point where it's right at that level that you can get severe weather. So we'll need to watch that and see how much of that can be realized. And then we'll just see whether or not we can get this to rain to snow later that night and whether or not we freeze things up. But that potential is certainly there because we are going to drop. We just don't know if the wind's going to be our friend after being against us all afternoon and night will help us out on preventing that latter issue. So that is the Friday night into Saturday system. Type 1, I always say this, type 1, if you guys are okay with that and you understand that system for Friday into Saturday, that potential alert day. Rainfall amounts, I'm thinking right now about 1 to 2 inches with that once again. I see a couple of questions on the snow part. We'll get to the snow amounts here in just a second. Leslie, I saw your comment. Where'd you go? Let's see. I have a flight 1 p.m. Friday. They'll start to ramp up around 1 p.m. Again, it's very similar to yesterday on timing. Yesterday was like 3 to 4 o'clock newscast. The wind went nuts. Yeah, that's very similar on Friday. The thing is, Leslie, that airlines are already delayed big time today. They're trying to catch up from yesterday, and they're going to try to play catch up tomorrow. And then another storm hits, and they're just going to back up again. So be ready, Leslie, for delays or even cancellations, just because of the rest of the country is just so active. In Atlanta being in a potential severe weather tornado outbreak scenario is not good either. That, of course, messes up the entire country on flights. So everyone seems okay. Good. All right. So that's the first alert day. Here we go with how we get into the end of the weekend, into the holiday. Saturday, I should mention, by the way, is going to be cold all day long. Sunday, the only thing here that is starting to show up on Sunday is we're going to have a general lift that is going to develop in the atmosphere ahead of our little wave that moves in for the MLK Day on Monday. I'm trying to figure out at the moment how much that could produce snowfall. If it starts to build in a little faster, we may have to go with an alert day on Sunday, especially Sunday night. We may, as soon as we start seeing snow able to reach the ground, it is going to start causing problems fairly quick because, again, we're dropping below freezing Friday night. So the ground has a chance to get cold and then freeze up and stay cold a good 30 or so hours in advance of this system. And if we didn't have that scenario, that would complicate the snow forecast quite a bit. But we instead have a frozen ground scenario when this arrives. So that leads to more confidence, not only in snowfall, but road conditions not being great at all. So be aware, Sunday night, we may have to ramp this up, but certainly Sunday night into Monday, this wave will move on by. As it does so, there is going to be a bit of enhancement roughly in Missouri and Arkansas. We'll see how that piece moves on by across areas of the Tennessee and Ohio Valley. The modeling is fairly good agreement on this moving quick, but the Euro especially moves it by, and then it, as we get into Monday, it's snowing like crazy outside, and then it wants to develop this into an eastern low pressure. Not all the models like that idea, but that would slow it down a bit and linger it, especially along an east of 65 all the way into Tuesday morning as well, which is going to be a bit of a mess. That moves on by, very, very cold, and then we try to warm up, and this is where it's showing snow, trying to go to rain for the middle and end of next week. If anything in this scenario, when we come out of this kind of Arctic air mass and then snow on the ground, it's usually going to be snow or ice, not rain. So this will be another system we'll have to watch as we head toward the 18th and 19th. I'll worry about that later. I got enough to worry about in the short term. Here's a look at one of the pieces of data for Louisville. And again, you're reading this right to left, if you're just wondering. But this tells me the snow ratio, and that is where I think this is going to be a little odd compared to what we've had on the past several systems, but not odd around here for January. The air is going to be Arctic air as we move into Sunday night and Monday. So typical rain to snow ratios for most of the country is about 10 to 1. 10 inches of rain, or excuse me, 10 inches of snow per 1 inch of rain. For Louisville, it's typically, in our climate, about a 7 to 1 is our average. In this case, with Arctic air, we can actually get close to about 20 to 23 to 1 ratio on the amount of moisture in the Arctic air being able to fluff up the snow to get more out of it. That is what's going to be a big factor because we may see some impressive snow totals out of this, even though there's not a whole lot of moisture. Even a quarter of inch of liquid can be a very impactful setup and certainly would be a winter storm for Kentucky. So this would be the big factor we got to figure out. How cold are we going to be and how much moisture, and we have to do that ratio configuration on that. Unfortunately, it's still too early to do that with specific amounts. We'll be able to do that soon, though, very soon. So when it comes to the alert day setup for what likely may be Sunday night into Monday, early Tuesday on the snow side, gusty winds, snow, impactful accumulations, yes. Even an inch of snow is going to cause problems because we're going to be very, very cold and it's going to be windy. Roads are not going to be great. So 1 inch of snow would be a problem. Even a half inch of snow in this scenario would be bad. But this has got the potential to be several inches of snow. So that's the reason why it would only just worsen the situation. And it is a holiday weekend. So a lot of you may not have work and school will be out. So I know, reminds us of 94, doesn't it? I'm not going to say that. I don't want to jinx it. But it's at least going to help somewhat, I'm hoping, on road crews to be able to take care of this system before we get into Tuesday. Because, yes, it's going to be cold this weekend, but it gets very cold once you get snow on the ground and you get this cold Arctic air mass. Now we're talking about not only just poor road conditions that remain, but dangerously cold wind chills that start to take place. In fact, here's an example of that. Here are the wind chills Monday morning. Single digits. May see some of that even over the weekend, but in general, Monday morning, single digits. We get into Tuesday morning. Wind chills of 15 to 20 below zero. Dangerously cold. That's when a lot of kids are heading back to school on Tuesday, or allegedly heading back to school. And then as we head into Tuesday afternoon, we're still staying below zero. So this is the reason why we're going to have the alert day out into Tuesday, just because of the very cold air. Actual temperatures, I don't know if we're going to even hit 10. We may hit 10 for an actual temperature on Tuesday. If we get the snow on the ground, that's going to be a couple of inches or more. It's going to be a struggle to move that needle at all. Very, very cold. And at night, below zero. So make sure your home is ready, just in case. Again, we don't want you to plan for a lot of snow and an Arctic air mass that's locked in. But I'm trying to tell you that potential has been there for a while, and it's growing in the confidence level. So you need to spend the next couple of days while the weather's decent and try to make sure everything's okay. If you need to repair anything, check on the furnace, get all that stuff taken care of. That way you're not having to worry about this next week, because that's a lot of stress on anybody, right? And just be careful on any of your traveling. You got to do whatsoever. So there you go. Type 2, if you're good on that setup. And that's where I'm going to stop on the alert day setup today, is going to be that overall ordeal for Sunday night into Monday. Austin, milk and bread alert. Look, I got milk and bread yesterday, but I was out. All right, I see a lot of 2s. Everyone's good. Hi, Bryce. Hope you're doing well. All right. Let's see, Bob. How does Cincinnati look? Bob, the issue there in Cincinnati is that it's going to be so cold. I mean, you're going to be dealing with the cold as well. But again, even a small amount of moisture is going to cause problems. I think all of our counties, all the way up into the Cincinnati metro too, will have an issue with even light snowfall and road conditions, just because it will be so cold. Obviously, the deeper the snow, the more of a problem it'll be. We just don't know yet how that translates across Tennessee and Kentucky, where that maximum amount will be, because it is going to move fairly quick. Now, if the Euro idea is right and it wants to slow down and become a little more organized in a closed low, that would change the story a little bit more. But again, right now, there's not a lot of data on board that train, but we need to watch it. Snow map, Chris. Snow map for Saturday. Right now, we're not able to put that out. I'm hoping we can today. It's probably going to be tomorrow, Chris, to be honest with you. It doesn't look like it's going to be a lot, just because of the idea that the low pressure at that point is already going to be into the Great Lakes. It's going to be just backlash snow. It's just going to be colder. So I'm thinking right now a coating. It could be an advisory level on snow, but Indiana more at risk than Kentucky is for that. There's some areas, by the way, on the Friday night, Saturday snow that may not even see the snow, because it's going to be moving fairly quick. Bryce, below freezing all of next week. As it stands now, yes. It may take a while to get above freezing. We may try to get close with that secondary system for the later portion of the week. We will try to get back up to at least the freezing mark, but it's not going to stay that way. We'll have another drop next weekend. We may be back to zero again for wind chills next weekend, by the way. Not this weekend, but the next one. So it's kind of an up and down, but the up part is not very dramatic for the latter half of the week. Models do bad. They do horrible on Arctic blast and snowfall on the ground. They tend to warm you up just way too much. And that's the reason why when they usually show rain after this kind of a setup, we're always suspicious of it, because it really is that. It's usually something on the icy or snowy side that ends up taking place. And that's the direction that we're likely going to lead into later next week as well. But again, that's step 5. I'm trying to get to 0.4 right now. A lot of specific questions. I'm not going to be able to answer specifics on totals or anything like that, guys. We're not there yet. But I'm hoping you guys get when I'm saying these are accumulations that are going to cause impact on poor road conditions. You get the idea what that is going to be. It's going to be a problem. All right. Pigeon Forge on Monday. They're going to be in a situation too where they're going to get the snow and be in a higher elevation scenario heading all the way into the Smokies there in Gatlinburg, which I know they just got hit with the flooding. What a mess to deal with this, but that would likely cause some problems too when it comes to the snow. And it could be, I mean, it's going to be a decent southern track for snow. Some areas that haven't seen anything like this in a while, well over a year. And certainly in our area, we've had kind of some duds, right? So this one's going to get attention. Even a 2 to 4 inch snow is going to get attention around here. So that's something that we're going to keep in mind. It will be a dry snow, by the way. Dry snow, not a wet snow, not a good snowman, snowball making snow. It's going to be good for snow blowers. It'll be blowing around like crazy, but it won't be a wet snow. That's for sure. It's going to be a dry snow. Marianne, let's see. Students go back to Western. Up to snowfall. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone really would give snow totals yet this early, but Southern Kentucky right now probably would stand for a little bit higher totals than we would if it holds out to be that way. What's interesting, Marianne, I'm of course a Hilltopper. I transferred to WKU from U of L mid-semester, whatever the case is, and it was a January return for me, and we had a snowstorm. When I tried to get back in, campus was closed on the first day back from winter break. So maybe history will repeat itself. We will see. One last question here, then I have to run because it's 10:11 and I haven't even started working on stuff for midday and I got a lot to do. How will the drive be from Louisville to E-Town on Friday morning? Friday morning, the rain's going to be just increasing. That's the issue. And it's, again, similar to what we had yesterday. You know, yesterday morning was a mess with the rain. Rain's going to be increasing a little bit later than we had yesterday. Yesterday it happened before we even got to rush hour. This rainfall on Friday will be arriving during rush hour. So it just depends on what time you're leaving specifically. But it will be a mess as the rain ramps up Friday morning. And it's just rain that we're talking about for that. The wind likely won't even be overly strong at that point. Wind will be Friday afternoon, Friday night. All right, guys, that's a lot to cover. I appreciate you all as always. Let's try to take a couple days here, relax. Right. And we'll continue to keep an eye, monitor the data trends on this and see how it plays out over the next couple of days. Hopefully this will happen to where it's over the holiday and a lot of you can just enjoy it. Right. And just stay warm and cozy inside the house and let us do all the worrying for you all. But we'll be watching that carefully. So you got the heads up. We've been talking about all week. But before we get to the snow, please be aware of that strong wind set up on Friday afternoon, Friday night. We need to watch that. I want that system to be ignored because that will be a potent system moving through the Ohio Valley. All right, you guys rock. I'll see you on midday.